My name is Jackson Blackledge and I'm the founder of Echelonn. As of May 2026, we manage over $15 million in Google ad spend for e-commerce brands every single month. We've worked with names such as Tabs, Ovi, Icon Amsterdam, Crafted, Wine by Lamborghini, Baby Fogarty, and many more. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact shopping campaign setup process my team and I use across every single one of those accounts, step by step, from the foundation all the way through to launch and ongoing optimization. Before we open Google Ads, before we touch any settings, I want to give you the full picture of what we're building. So when it comes to shopping on Google Ads, most brands have one campaign running everything, all products, all traffic types, one big bucket. And most of the time, that's the default Google pushes you towards. And it's also the number one reason most shopping setups produce misleading numbers. So here's what we do differently. The structure that we use separates shopping into two distinct campaigns with two distinct jobs. The first is your shopping brand campaign. This is a standard shopping campaign. It captures people who are already searching for your brand in shopping results. Think of this as brand protection for your store. Low CPCs, high ROAS, easy conversions. Second is your shopping prospecting campaign. And this can be set up one of two ways, depending on how much control you want. Option one is a feed-only performance max campaign. Feed only means it pulls directly from your product feed and focuses your spend on shopping placements rather than spreading across YouTube, display, Gmail, and Discover. If your goal is purely a shopping presence for non-brand traffic, then this is a cleaner starting point. The caveat with any PMax is that once you add creative assets, Google controls where the spend goes across all of those inventory types, so that's something you'll need to monitor closely. Then option two is another standard shopping campaign set to a higher priority than your brand campaign, and this is sometimes called a waterfall structure. It just gives you more direct control over where your budget goes because you're staying purely within shopping inventory. Both approaches achieve the same core goal, capturing non-brand shopping searches and keeping them separated from your branded traffic. Which one you choose comes down to whether you want Google's automation across the full ad inventory or tighter manual control with shopping specifically. Now, here's the critical part, and this is what makes the whole thing work. The way these two campaigns interact with each other, we use priority-based funnel system that does control which campaign catches which type of traffic. At the top, your performance max prospecting campaign runs with brand terms excluded. It's designed to scale spend on new customer acquisition. Every search query it picks up should be someone who hasn't heard of you yet. In the middle, you have an optional wall campaign. It's a standard shopping campaign set to medium priority with very low CPC bids, around 20 to 25 cents. Brand is actually excluded here too. Its job is to catch any leftover non-branded queries that your PMax didn't pick up. Think of it as a safety net that grabs cheap non-brand traffic. At the bottom, your shopping brand campaign runs at a low priority, and this one does not exclude brand keywords. This is where you want branded traffic to land. You bid low with manual CPC because these are easy conversions from people already searching for you. The way priority works is Google checks the highest priority campaign first. If that campaign doesn't want the query, either because it's excluded or because the bid is too low, the query falls through to the next level. And since your PMax and wall campaigns both exclude branded terms, all branded queries naturally fall through to the bottom where your brand campaigns picks them up at very low CPCs. The result is just clean separation. Your prospecting campaigns only spend money on new customer acquisition. Your brand campaign handles the easy branded conversions cheaply. And you can look at your performance data and actually trust what you're seeing. Here's an example of what happens when you do it correctly. We went and took this brand from 9.7k weekly spend, and as you can see over time, even spending 65k a week profitably. And just to show you guys the outcomes here, so on that first month they're paying around 69 cents per click. We eventually got it down to 31 cents. That's a 55% change in average CPC, which is fucking huge. And as you can see, when it comes to ROAS, there was a 245% difference, and then you can see in the purchases 274%. And now just a final point, and as you guys can see here in the graph, the average CPC continued to drop over time, but the ROAS increased over time. That's the basic idea of the system. Now, if you already have a Merchant Center account connected to your Google Ads, great, but there are a few things inside the Merchant Center that most brands either skip over or set up once and never revisit. And these things directly affect how your shopping ads perform. So before we move on to campaign creation, I'm just going to show you guys how to navigate to that tab. So go into the product and store quality, and that takes you to this tab here. Basically, this is where Google ranks your store against other stores that are advertising in the same space in a form of a scorecard. Fixing even one low score in here can really lift your shopping CTR by, let's say, 18 to 21%. And you can see that improvement within 48 to 72 hours. So if you haven't looked at this tab before, pause the video right now, go check it out. I covered this tab in depth in another video, so go ahead and check that out when you have time. Now, another thing we definitely recommend you go set up your GMC promotions. So this is another one that almost everyone leaves on the table label. Merchant center promotions let you attach offers directly to your shopping listings. So you click into your promotions, you can obviously see there's a few offers. We have one running at the moment. So we go create a promotion, you select your country and language. Now, of course, you're going to set a start and end date, and then you can pick up a bunch of buyer incentives. You know, we're picking percent off here as an example, 15%. And what we want to do is we want to click show to all. We'll click next. We get taken to this screen here. Again, we want to tick promote all. Now we're going to enter our title and then our promotion ID right after. Okay, here's a promotion ID. Yeah. And also a promo code. There you go. So if there was something, this is what it still looks like. Then you click publish. That's all done. This is what it would look like if it was in the search results. And as you can see, there's a specific code outlet30 for Mizuno Australia here. I've done that setup as I just walked you through. You go continue to site, it'll take you there, and the rest is history, right? This is a great way to help you stand out in the search results if you're able to implement them right. We do recommend having some sort of promotion running year round and just be creative with it. Newsletter signups, free gifts, buy one get one free. You don't have to always default to straight discounts and have your margins. A simple free shipping on orders over 50 promo badge can actually make the difference between someone clicking your listing versus a competitor's. Okay, now let's talk about the thing that actually powers everything in shopping, which is your product feed. Here's something that's really important to understand about shopping campaigns. Unlike search ads where you write ad copy and target keywords manually, shopping campaigns pulls everything directly from your product feed. Titles, images, prices, descriptions. Google uses all of that to decide when and where to show your product. So your feed is basically your fucking entire ad. And if your feed is weak, no amount of, let's say, campaign optimization is going to save that shit. So this is the step where most brands lose before they even start. I'm going to walk you through the attributes that matter most, starting with the big one, which is title. So your product title is essentially your keyword in shopping. It's the single most important attribute in your feed. When someone searches organic greens powder on Google, it's your title that determines whether your product shows up for the query or not. And titles can be up to 150 characters, but they get cut off after the roughly 70 characters in the shopping results, and the first 30 to 40 characters are the most visible and impactful part of what shoppers actually see in the ad preview. So I would say really front load your titles, put the most important keywords at the very beginning, and that's the best practice. Here's a bad product title: super greens daily powder dash organic supplement. A good one would be organic greens powder daily superfood supplements with spirulina and chlorella. The bad title leads with a brand name, and when you want new customers who haven't heard of you, they search up green powder and your brand name comes up, it does very little to convince them to click on your ad. The good title leads with the actual product keyword that people type into Google. Now, here's a tip that we implement for almost every single client. You should actually have separate feeds for brand and non-branded traffic. Your branded feed can include your brand name because people searching for your brand, they want to see it. They want to know if they're clicking on your brand or not. But your non-branded prospecting feed should lead with generic high volume keywords instead, because these shoppers don't know who you are yet. They don't give a fuck who you are. They don't understand the power of your brand. We use a tool called Data Feedwatch to manage this. It sits between your Shopify store and Google Merchant Center and just lets you create rules that transforms titles, descriptions, and other attributes across your entire catalog without touching your actual store data. So you can have one set of titles optimized for branded traffic and a completely different set optimized for prospecting, all running off the same product catalog. Images after titles are the next biggest factor in shopping performance. The old advice was to always use white background images, but Google's own written policies on this are actually outdated at this point. And funnily enough, Google actively promotes their product studio tool for creating lifestyle images now and other variants. Test lifestyle images, test different angles, test images that show the product being used in context. This is shopping. People are scrolling through a carousel of products that all look the same. The one that looks different gets the click. Key attributes beyond titles and images. Descriptions should be very keyword rich and clearly describe product features. You get up to 5,000 characters, but the first 500 are the most critical. Think of descriptions as a secondary keyword signal that supports your title. Let's say GCIN, NPN, and item group IDs if you want your product reviews to show up properly for your products and their variants. And then obviously finally custom labels. These are your secret weapon for campaign segmentation. Use them to tag products by best sellers, margin tiers, seasonal relevance, or maybe promotional status. Start here first, and if you want me to go in depth on feed optimization, let me know down in the comments below. Now what I want to do now is show you how to actually set up that waterfall strategy that we talked about. All right, so let's click into the new campaign. We'll do create a campaign with our guidance, and let's pick our shopping as the option here. Now I'm just going to quickly connect the merchant center account here. Now one thing you do need to change is you want one single optimization goal. We're optimizing for purchases, okay, because we're an e-com. Once that's set up, let's set up a campaign name, then click continue. Here, we're just going to set up a budget. So because it's a brand campaign, we're going to start with something around $50. We're going to pick manual CPC because we want the control and we want our priority to low. You pick your location, then we want to do presence, people in regularly, or include location. It's because we don't want that junk traffic. Include Google search partners, and we're just going to give it our ad group name. And again, we're going to set a pretty low bid here because we're running brand campaigns. Essentially, we only want bids that will only be possible for branded campaigns. I do highly recommend you implement a branded keyword script for your shopping brand campaign. And here's how it actually works, because it is slightly different from what most people assume. The script doesn't proactively block non-branded terms from showing up. What it does is run on an hourly basis, check the search terms that have been served, and then if it identifies a term as non-branded, it adds it as a negative so it won't be served. It's reactive rather than preventative, but because you can run these scripts hourly, the slip over is minimal. So in practice, a generic search like leather sneakers might trigger your brand campaign once, but within the hour, the script catches it, excludes it, and it just won't happen again. Meanwhile, searches containing your brand name like EXO, Lux, shoes pass cleanly every time. Our tech team basically sets this up for every client. It's well worth implementing. Last but not least, this might sound obvious, but I want to be clear. Do not add brand negative keywords to this campaign. This is your brand campaign. This is where all the branded traffic should live. Also, make sure the products included here are also included in your PMax and also the wall campaigns. They need to exist across the full funnel for the priority system to actually work correctly. So the brand campaign is live. Now let's set up the campaign that's going to be your main growth engine. This campaign is about going out and finding new customers. It's going to be your highest spend campaign and your primary source of shopping revenue. All right, so let's go ahead and set up a campaign. Okay, this time where we're going to pick sales as our primary objective. Just going to click continue and then click PMax. And let's connect up that merchant center account again. I'm just going to give the campaign a name, nothing fancy. Let's click continue, start new. All right, now let's get to bidding. To start, you want to basically choose max conversions. Don't set a target yet. Give the algorithm freedom to learn what works and accumulate the data. Now we're going to pick our location, and we're advertising in Australia here again. Same option as before. People in or regularly in the location, so we don't have EU political ads. We're just going to keep the default settings as I'm just showing you guys the setup. Doesn't really matter. Next, just going to give our ad group once again a name, and I just want to get into asset groups a little bit later. You want to segment your asset groups by product category or product line, especially if you have products with significantly different buying behavior, conversion windows, or margins. That's why in your listing groups, you have to be very selective because these are the products you're choosing to show in your ads. And on top of that, for each asset group, you want to upload strong creative assets. So you want good text, headlines, and descriptions, images, video. If you have it, the better input you give PMax, the better quality of the output that you get. Okay, here I'm just going to leave it to the default values that is here, but ideally you want to be customizing all of this. But for now, I'm just going to quickly select a few of the assets here that we have just for us to get through this setup process and so you understand what I'm talking about. Like I said, guys, pick the ones most relevant to the products that you guys will be advertising through this group. I just want to skip forward a little bit to the settings here. So we typically leave these unticked, especially in the final URL expansion, because we don't want this campaign going, wherever it just chooses to go. So go to under images. This is typically fine to leave enhancement on. And with video, we typically turn this off as well. Now getting into the signals a little bit, this is where a lot of brands leave performance on the table. And it's an easy fix. Then ideally, as you can see here, you want to add relevant non-branded search terms related to your products. Then next, you want to go into your audience signals. They're equally as important. Here, you want to be sort of uploading your customer list and your past purchases, your new customers, anyone who was brought from you before. Add website visitors to these as well. Give Google basically a picture of your ideal customer. So it goes from finding people like them. The customer lists are fundamental to powering the algorithm, especially behind the smart bidding options that Performance Max relies on. We audit accounts all the fucking time that had 0 audience signals in their PMax. It's just a shit show. And your audience tab should obviously look like this. Basically, you have as many signals within your PMax as possible. possible to kind of tell the campaign and Google's algorithm who it should sort of be looking out for and who it should be going after. So we've got a bunch of first party data here just to show you guys how we do run separate segments. As you can see, we've got different asset groups for supplements, protein, water, creatine. These are custom asset groups per segment. This is what you call a full build PMax campaign. So you can still start a PMax if you don't have assets. And just to show you guys an example here, this is a feed only campaign. So there's literally no assets in here. Okay, no themes. So it's just a feed. So this pulls directly from your feed and runs primarily on shopping. Placements is basically a perfectly valid way to obviously start. And lastly, this is the most important step in the entire setup, and it's probably the one that most brands actually skip. So you can actually set up negative keyword lists for your PMax campaigns. Now, through this part of the UI, click keywords, negative keywords. You want to add your brand terms as negative keywords or anything that will come across as branded. It's important for your prospecting campaigns to be true prospecting campaigns. You don't want any branded traffic getting in there at all. And also you can just use this to filter out irrelevant search terms over time, which is a smart play as well. There's one more optional campaign I want to show you that can squeeze additional value out of your setup. So at this point, you've got your PMax handling prospecting at the top and your standard shopping handling branded at the bottom. For a lot of accounts, that's enough. But there's a third layer that we set up for most of our clients that adds an extra safety net. This is optional if you want to run it, but our team does this for most of our clients. We call it a wall campaign. And here's the idea. Even when your PMax has brand exclusions and is running well, it won't necessarily capture every single non-branded query out there. So some queries slip through the cracks, and the wall campaign sits in the middle of the priority funnel and picks up those leftovers. So let's create a new campaign. This time we'll select campaign without guidance and click shopping. And we're just going to set our campaign name real quick after connecting the GMC. Okay, so this is going to be our prospecting wall campaign. Okay, here we're going to set up manual CPC at a pretty low average daily budget as well. Okay, because to be honest, we're not trying to win every auction here. You're just picking up whatever non-branded searches you can get. Also, that PMax leaves behind, and you're paying next to fucking nothing for them. So why not set this up? And here we're going to basically pick a medium priority, and this means Google checks it after your high priority PMax, but before your low priority campaign. So once again, it only picks up what PMax wasn't able to. Now we're just going to go through pretty much the same process. So set the same location again. Presence. We want to disable search partners here as well. Let's click next, change the name. And as I said before, we're going to set a pretty low bid here because we're not trying to win every auction. We're just trying to pick up the crumbs. Now, just one more thing. You can actually see that this is the same campaign. It's got a 35-cent max CPC, so very, very low. But what's key to remember is you need to apply the same brand negative keyword list that you're using for your prospecting campaigns. This just ensures the wall campaign only captures non-branded queries. Include the same products that are in your brand shopping campaign. They need to exist across all three layers for the priority funnel to obviously work correctly. If a product isn't in the wall campaign, that query can skip straight past PMax down to brand. You can expect surprisingly high ROAS from this campaign because you're bidding at very low CPCs on queries that are generally non-branded. It won't generate massive volume, but the traffic it does catch tends to be profitable. So at this point, your full shopping structure is built. Brand campaign at the bottom, PMax prospecting at the top, optional wall campaign in the middle. The priority funnel is fucking working. Now the question becomes, how do you manage all of this at once it's running? What you need is a consistent routine. So let me give you exact optimization schedules that we use across all of our accounts. Every day, you want to spend 5-10 minutes just a quick check. Are there any disapprovals or policy issues? Are your budgets pacing too fast, too slow? Any major anomalies in ROAS? You're not making changes here. You're just making sure nothing is on fucking fire. Every week, set aside about 30 minutes, and this is where the real work starts. So you pull up the search terms report on your standard shopping campaigns and add negatives for everything irrelevant. Check product group performance and adjust bids where needed, and also verify your conversion tracking is working properly. This is the key one too. We see accounts all the fucking time with duplicated conversion actions, discounting the same purchases more than once. Bad tracking leads to bad decisions, bad optimizations. Every 2 weeks, go deeper, do a real dive into product level performance, move products between custom label segments based on recent results, check your PMax insights to see if any brand queries are leaking through your exclusions, and review impression share metrics to see if you're being outbidded on key products that should be getting more visibility. Every month, block out 2 to 3 hours for a full fucking audit. Review and optimize your feed, run competitive analysis using auction insights, update your customer list so PMax has fresh signal data. Also refresh your PMax creative assets if engagement metrics are declining, and do strategic planning for the month ahead. If you've followed everything so far, you've got a strong shopping foundation. Your campaigns are structured correctly, your feed is clean, and you're managing things on a consistent schedule. That alone puts you ahead of fucking 90% of e-commerce brands running Google Google Ads. But now I want to show you how to really scale your shopping presence. And this is the tactic I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the one that took a single product and turned it into 10 different shopping listings. It's called product duplication. The idea is simple. One product in your catalog can become 5 to 10 separate shopping listings, each one with a different title, a different image, potentially a different landing page, and each one is eligible to show up in completely different searches. And before you ask, this is fully allowed by Google. Google's own duplicate policy states that listings only count as duplicates if they have the exact same set of attributes. As long as you change the title, swap the image, or point to, let's say, a different landing page, Google treats each version as a separate listing. Say you sell creatine supplement. Your original listing is titled creatine monohydrate supplement. That's one listing targeting one set of search terms. Anyone who searches creatine for weight loss, creatine for women, creatine for brain health, creatine for muscle mass, they're gonna never see your product because your title doesn't match those queries. But with duplication, you create additional listings from the same product. Creatine monohydrate for weight loss, for brain health, for muscle growth, for women. Same product, but simply just different title angles targeting completely different search intents. You're eligible for all of those searches. And because each listing has a unique title, Google can show multiple versions of your product in the same carousel. So while your competitors are showing up fucking once, you're showing up 3-4 times. I did a video on this just last week, and this strategy is how you absolutely dominate the shopping carousel while your competitors show up once per search with one listing per product. Now, before we wrap up, here are the mistakes you should watch out for. Starting with number 1, over segmenting campaigns before you have the data. This is a big one. We see accounts with 30, 40, 50 campaigns where only a handful have enough conversions to actually optimize. Google's own recommendations are at least 30 conversions a month for maximized conversions and target CPA bidding, and 50 conversions a month for maximized conversion value and target ROAS. That works out to roughly 1 to 2 conversions per day per campaign. So if you're splitting products across too many campaigns with a limited budget, you're diluting data and just preventing the algorithm from learning. You want to start consolidated. Split only when volume justifies it. Number 2, giving up too early. Shopping campaigns need 2 to 4 weeks of learning before you can actually make real performance judgment. Killing a campaign after a week of, let's say, mediocre results usually means you're killing a potential winner before it had a chance to optimize. So you just need to be patient with the learning phase. Let the data accumulate before you make big decisions. Number 3, ignoring the feed after initial setup. That's a huge mistake. Your feed isn't something you can just set up once and then fucking forget about. Products go out of stock. Prices change. New products launch. Custom labels need to be updated as performance shifts. If you did all the feed optimization work we talked about earlier and then never touched it again, you're slowly undoing all of that effort. So you need to stay on top of it. Make feed review part of that monthly audit. Number 4, not using audience signals and customer lists. So we already covered this in Performance Max Setup, but it's worth repeating because of how often we see it. Customer lists are fundamental to giving Google the best picture of your customer profile. If you have a massive customer base but 0 audience signals in your Performance Max campaigns, you're handicapping the algorithm. So upload those lists, set up dynamic remarketing, keep the list updated. The more data Google has about who your customers are, the better it can find new ones. And when it's all working together, shopping becomes a predictable, profitable revenue engine where you can actually see what's working and what isn't. If you want help implementing this for your brand, we do this every single day at Echelonn. The link is in the description to book a call with myself. I'm more than happy to give you a free audit of your ad account and just run my eyes over it, give you my 2 cents. I'll look at your current shopping setup, the feed quality, your campaign structure, and just show you exactly where you're leaving money on the table. I appreciate you watching. I hope you learned something. Go have fun with those shopping campaigns. I'll see you in the next one.